I've come to make an announcement. This video is not strictly made for kids. It's for older fans and seniors too. So leave comments alone, you son of a... They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8. Shunting, roll, stocking, hauling freight. Red, green, purple, yellow, orange, brown, blue. They're the really useful crew. Always different roles to play. Round the west of the island or far away. Down the hills and round the bends. Thomas, Sam, and friends. Thomas, Adam, and friends. If you've ever been to Ulfstead Castle, you know there's a heritage line known as the Estate Railway, ran by Glenn, Stephen, and Millie, as well as Duke, who returned from the Festiniog Railway in late 2020 and retired from regular service to live on the estate. However, aside of them four, there are a bunch of other engines living there as well. Within the castle, there's a siding that leads to a massive railway museum and engine house. Built in 2022, it contains a bunch of artifacts as well as a variety of different Sudrian locomotives on display. Lily the J50, Hunsley the Austerity tank engine, Stratford the number 1020 Y14 class, as well as Reverend and Lady Allcroft, who retired from being the private engines of the Audrey family and TV crew respectively. Even Dustin is on display here whenever there isn't any snow to clear from spring to fall. The museum also has 2 narrow gauge engines, Ronald and Madeline, and 2 miniature engines, Beatrice Dollar and Rosalina Dock. Teresa, it's so lovely to see you again. And you, Mr. Red Engine, you're the visiting brother of Duck, I presume?
No, it's your mom. Who do you think?
Very funny, says the one who's named after the father figure that built him. There's way too many people with the name Charles around here. Charles Laxey, the Vicar of Wellsworth, Sir Charles Topham Hatt, and King Charles.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, there's also one more standard gauge diesel as well, named Conrad, who assisted Wendy the Works diesel in the 70s and 80s. Though Conrad's not really on display, but more of the castle waiter and maintenance diesel, taking supplies to and from the estate for parties, special events, and the museum, and also performing shunting demonstrations for tourists.
I remember another German tank engine named Marquin who used to work on the island long before you two from the late 20s to the Second World War.
Now originally in 1977, there was another museum located between the Vickerstown Bridge and Barrow and Furnace, known as the Barrow Sudrick Railway Museum. However, after the owner passed away from COVID, and with traffic from Sodor and British Rails on the Walney Channel getting busier, all the engines were transferred to Olstead.
And that's how my brother Palmerston was finally restored, after being a stationary boiler at the shed, a lot like Stanley.
Wow, I didn't even know. I needed such a huge coincidence.
You and him sure have quite a lot in common when it comes to waiting years to be restored, not just in the George England bloodline.
You're right about that, Maddie.
Alright everyone, for those of you boarding Duke's train to tour the Casnehawen mine, it leaves in 5 minutes.
You've heard my grace. All aboard. Later, you two. I'll be back.
Have fun, Chick.
But unfortunately, he didn't return. At the Blue Mountain Quarry, the newest diesel on the Skarloey Railway, Ben Glass, was loading his trucks up with stone when the foreman came up.
Ben, there's an emergency at Olstead. Duke's fire bar's collapsed, and he's stranded at the castle with this tour train. Since you're the nearest engine, Mr. Percival needs you to take him to the steamworks urgently. Bertram will take over your stone train.
Yes, sir.
Anything can go, anything can go, anything can go.
The yellow diesel made his way to the estate to help Duke, while Millie took over the passengers.
Don't worry, old boy. Help is on the way.
Despite the circumstances, both Duke and Ben were very happy to see each other again.
Welcome back to the castle, Ben. Haven't seen you since your first day. How's life going?
It's been great so far.
Just wonderful, isn't it? All I wanted to do was get home and out of the sun after a long morning in the museum. Is that too much to ask? Now I'm going to miss the game, and it's all because of this brown piece of junk who's been buried underground for God knows how long.
Clearly I haven't aided him enough in Stephen and Millie's fallout.
Doesn't matter anyway. He's beyond help.
As the two started off, Benglass was confused about something. Duke?
Yes, Ben?
What's a museum?
Wait, you don't know what a museum is?
No?
Oh, right. You're a new engine, aren't you? Well, Ben, a museum is a special place that preserves the history of various different things, depending on what the theme is. In a museum, there are many artifacts and valuables related to the historic topic that are on display for the public to see. In this case, I don't think you were on that part of the castle the first time you came here, but we have a neighboring railway museum with several pieces of railway equipment, as well as a bunch of engines.
However, the more Duke explained about what a railway type of museum was, the more the young yellow diesel gained a negative viewpoint about it.
Are you alright? You're awfully quiet.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. It's just, I don't like the idea of engines being put in a museum.
Why not?
Because it sounds so dumb and boring. I can understand having old railway equipment on static display, but the engines? Why are they just sitting there doing nothing when they should be out and about doing work?
Well, some of those engines aren't able to work anymore, or retired from service, so they're put on display in the museum for people to learn about their historic lives.
Yeah, their lives before they became good-for-nothing slobs who have nothing better to do than to give up work and sit on a piece of track going nowhere just to let people mess with their controls and touch them with their dirty hands.
Alright, that's enough, Ben. Cut it out this instant.
What? All I'm saying is that museum engines aren't real engines.
And what exactly is a real engine?
One that isn't lazy and gets all their work done being really useful, and doesn't waste their idle life away in a building.
You disrespectful youngster! How dare you talk about those fellow engines like that? My great Sir Robert didn't put the effort into bringing them here just to have you smack talk. Now that's what I'd call karma.
The two engines continued arguing until Benglass finally dropped them off of the works. Phew, at last. A few days passed and Benglass forgot about the museum engines until Duke was finally out of the works, and just in time for the 5th Audrey Extravaganza and Skarloey Beer Festival. Though his first job that evening was to take passengers and fireworks back to the castle for the 4th of July celebration. And yes, I know that Sodor's in the UK, but who's to say the American Sudrian immigrants can't be honored? Mr. Percival was also about to give Ben a taste of his own medicine.
Benglass, I need you to go help Duke again at Lakeside. He's taking terrorists and fireworks to the castle tonight, but there are too many passengers for him to carry on his own. You're to double head the train with him, and then spend the night in the museum before coming back tomorrow.
Are you that serious? I'm not spending the night with those dumb, lazy museum engines. Plus, I've had a long day, and I want to rest in the shed away from the heat. Get another engine to do it.
Alright, that's enough, Ben. I don't want to hear it. Duke told me what you said about the museum engines, and I will not tolerate your behavior. Those engines are just like anyone else and deserve way more than what they get. They may be on static display or retired, but they're just as valuable and share their history with the tourists visiting the castle. Perhaps you'll learn a thing or two from them by spending the night. I hope I don't have to talk about this with you anymore, or I'll have some unwanted ramifications for your bad attitude. Understand?
Baby, you're a firework.
Cinders and ashes!
You mean gunpowder and chemicals?
Benglass did enjoy the fireworks, but was cross about spending the night in the museum as a special guest. After the show was over, everyone went to sleep. Except for Ben, of course. However, he saw a nightly security guard walking to the nearest bathroom, and that was when a terrible idea flew into his radiator. If no one else is going to do anything about it, I will. As soon as the guard came out and was about to walk past him, he put his plan to action. Excuse me, sir.
What is it?
Well, Sir Robert told me to take the diesel behind me to the works tonight for her maintenance checkup tomorrow. But the problem is I have no one to couple me up with her.
Say no more. I've got ya, bud.
Unfortunately, the security guard was a fairly new employee who didn't know any better and was following what he thought were Sir Robert's orders.
Alright, you're all set.
With that said, Benglass pulled with all his might.
Hey, what's going on?
What are you doing? The engine stared in horror as Ben was trying to drag Madeline out of the museum building, though her brakes were on from being a stag display.
Ben, what are you doing?
I'm getting you out of this madhouse filled with lazy heaps of scrap iron. No more museum for you. Time to put this chaos to rest and get back to being a real engine.
Someone, help!
Hey, let's go!
What is this?
I think you should.
Ben Glass's coupling broke, and he shot forward, derailing at the points that weren't set his direction.
Release an oil.
Blind me, that's Ben!
Sir Robert eventually came to sort out the issue, and when Ben explained why he did it, everyone was very offended and cross, especially the museum engines.
I'm sorry, sir. It's my fault. I followed along with what that yellow diesel told me.
It's alright, sir, but next time ask me first. Well, Ben Glass, what do you have to say for yourself? You were specifically told not to misbehave, and here you are attempting to steal one of my engines. I just got off the phone with Mr. Percival. He's back at home asleep in his pajamas right now, but he told me that he's very disappointed in you. Him and I agreed on a punishment. Starting tomorrow, instead of being lifted back onto the rails, you'll be placed next to the museum building and you will stay there and think about what you've done. The Earl left the scene, with his primary engine giving him a disappointed glare.
All I can say is, that's the third time we've had a thief in the castle. First the Crown Bandits, then Baz and Barney, and now you trying to harm and take an innocent diesel.
Good riddance. Hopefully becoming one of us will serve him right.
Hear, hear! The nerve of him trying to take me against my will!
I swear, he's almost as bad as Barry when I used to work with him.
Alright, calm down, girls. I know it's been a rough evening, but let's be glad none of us were hurt. Besides, he's only a new engine. Probably doesn't know any better.
Even so, he has no right to take her like that.
Guys, I know that Diesel's young and all, but should one of us tell him about MFP?
Not now, Hansi. I agree that he should understand, but for now I think it's best we leave him alone and let him learn for himself.
He's right. Let's just try to be calm now and get back to sleep.
Was very notched.
The next morning, Ben Glass was put next to the museum and left there all by himself, or so he thought.
Morning, young fella. Never thought you'd be in the same position as me.
Huh? Who said that?
Over here.
To Ben's surprise, there was another Diesel being punished as well. Oh, hello there. What's your name?
My name is Dennis, and like you, I'm also stuck here as a consequence for my behavior.
Really? What did you do?
Well, sometimes I tend to be lazy and refuse to get up and do any work when I'm exhausted and not in the mood. For the most part, I am really hardworking and useful and get the job done. But there are moments when I tend to act out from not feeling motivated enough.
And Dennis explained that a recent accident at the Vickerstown Diesel Works caused by his outburst resulted in Sir Topham Hatt punishing him by putting him on temporary stag display at the castle, since he really didn't want to work that much. Wow, that sounds rough. Sorry about that.
It's alright. I've been given plenty of time to think about what I did.
The two Diesels were glad to have each other's company and began chatting like old friends during the time of their crimes. Who's that faceless black engine supposed to be? Some engine from America?
No, that's a legend. Her name is Big Bertha.
Throughout the day after the estate was opened, Ben Glass overheard the museum engines talking about their previous lives to the passengers.
I had no idea that I would ever see Toby again on Sodor when I was preserved at our museum. I'm still very grateful to this day that he helped me get to the Seaside Festival when I was in poor condition, even if he didn't end up taking part. When moving to the castle in 2021, I was very excited to see my old friend much more often, with Ulfstead being on his branch line.
He was now beginning to regret his feelings about them.
I came to the Mid-Sewer back in 23 along with Fearless Freddy to help out with the extra lookwood when the business was falling down after Peter Godred line was built. When the railway closed, I worked on a factory until I was being pursued at the Administrating Museum Railway with my twin brother Peter.
Rather ironic how I was Wilbert's private engine, given how my other GSWR 403 siblings were known as the Austrian goods class. yes. Not to boast, but sometimes I think I knew him better than any other engine.
I'm a J-50 built by Sir Nigel, with me and my late siblings being nicknamed submarines from our long sloping side tanks. I was bought by Sir Charles in 1962, where I worked until 85. Aside of mixed traffic duties on the main line, when spring and summer came around, I ran quiet passenger services to the extension of the Rolling River Bridge on the Crove and Waterton branch line, formerly operated by the Sodor and Mainland Railway. Fun fact, I wasn't the first engine on the extended line. During Stepney's visit, he gave the branch line test runs, and after he left, I became the permanent engine to run it.
If you've seen my appearance in Toby Trucks in Trouble, you obviously know how poorly maintained I was back then. But thankfully, number 5, 6, 4 and I have long been preserved and better cared for. Speaking of, did you know that number 930 of my class held the world record for the fastest construction of a steam engine ever? Built in just 9 hours and 45 minutes. That's wicked, I'll tell you what.
Reverend here is basically like a grandfather to me, and matched with the same previous career, taking some of the most well-known Sudrian figures in our heyday across the island, though he was associated with the Audrey family and I was with the TV crew of the model series. Reverend has also cared for me during my worst moments this year after my mother figure Ms. Allcroft passed away.
Well, you and everyone else helped me after Wilbert's passing in 97. It's only right that I return the favor.
When Rex and Mike were out of service in 1973, I was drawn to cover the duties. After they were repelled, I went back to my old rank and stayed there until it was in 88. Thankfully, Mr. Fergus Duncan officially purchased me to run on the Ulfstead Railway. Until I retired after years of service, I still visited my old friends on occasion.
After my brother Wilbert from the Dean Forest Railway visited Sodor back in 94, so Stephen was inspired to get his own austerity tank engine, that being me obviously. Also, if you can, please consider buying that new 00 gauge model of my brother, as the money will be used by the DFR to pay for his overhaul. Later that day, when dusk fell and the museum closed for the night, Conrad took Hunsley out of the building next to Ben. Good evening, Yellow Diesel. Your name's Ben Glass, right? Yeah? And what's your name again? Oh, sorry. My name is Hunsley, and I just wanted to come out here and tell you something. What is it? Do you want to know the full truth on why some of us museum engines can't actually operate? Because we have this permanent disability, mechanical facial palsy, but we call it MFP for short. MFP? What's that? Well, it's this very serious condition that's been going on since the very beginning of machines with faces. It's also the live machine equivalent of being permanently paralyzed. You know our faces are on the front. Well, there are these things behind the face inside of us, so-called organs, that connect from the face to the rest of our inner functions, whether it's boiler tubes and steam engines, or generators and diesels. But MFP happens when those organs between our faces and inner functionalities are mutated and defected by natural causes, mainly from the elements of nature. Basically, we're no longer able to function with our face organs not working. There are ways to treat MFP by having a massive overhaul or rebuild, but those are very expensive and time-consuming. And sadly, for the most part, sentient machines end up having their faces too affected for treatment. Engines with MFP are mostly still able to function, but nowhere near without the possibility of straining themselves far beyond their limit, while only pulling something as simple as 3 coaches and trucks. Rattling radiators! I had no idea! That's horrible! It really is. But the good thing is that most palsy-ridden vehicles do at least tend to have good retirements in museums, parks, or wherever else they go. All of us engines here at the castle are very happy to have each other through our past troubles, and we get to share our wonderful stories to all the people that come here every single day. Both Sir Robert and Topham are very proud of all our hard work, and we wouldn't have it any other way. But still, mechanical facial palsy is something that no one should ever have to deal with.
Do all the engines in the museum have the disease?
Only Reverend, Lily, and Madeline do. The rest of us are either withdrawn for other reasons, or simply retired from actual service and came for a quieter life. I'm on display because of a failing boiler tube leak.
Oh my, MFP sounds terrible. I hope I never get it.
You probably won't. When most engines go in for their yearly maintenance checkups, that's one of the things they usually check on for symptoms, and the chances of them being diagnosed with MFP are minimal to none. It usually only appears on a few of us who are just unlucky.
Yeah.
So you see, Ben Glass, no matter how many times you tell us engines with MFP to go out into the real world and be really useful or whatnot, well, I hate to break it to you, but that's not how life works. We can, we want to, absolutely, but it's just not possible. Alright, I think I've said enough. You can take me back in now, Conrad.
Another reason why you should never take rolling the rails for granted.
The young yellow diesel definitely had way more than a lot to think about. Fortunately, the next day, Mr. Percival came to see him, and Ben Glass apologized for his behavior. Mr. Percival, Sir Robert, and the museum engines thankfully forgave him, and he was finally put back on the rails. However, all the way home, he thought long and hard about Hunsley's speech, and knew now not to judge a book by its cover until he knew the full truth. Even though it was rough, I think in the long run it's for the best that he learned the error of his ways the hard way.
Well, Mr. Frank, after nearly 3 years of hard work, we finally finished our classified project, building the 10th engine of the Olstead Railway.
Oh boy, my father will be so happy when he sees this. I've kept this quiet from him for far too long now, building a new engine and naming it after him. I've wanted to do the same thing the Ravenglass and Estelle Railway did for Mr. Ratty 20 years ago. A massive coincidence we finished construction in a vast year like this, especially not long after the Scarlowy Railway built their new diesel.
Alright, I'm gonna start him up now.
I can only imagine the shocked and tearful look on my father's face. Arise to miniature rails, my dear Ferguson.